According to Pew Research statistics, African Americans are the #1 consumers of all things electronic. I'm Michael Reel, and this is ReelUrbanNews.com. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Reverend Jexy Jackson. We caught up with him in Beverly Hills, California. We're discussing the Silicon Valley Project. Reverend Jackson, tell us about your Silicon Valley Project.
What's driving the world today is technology and communications. It's Google, it's Facebook, it's Twitter, it's Microsoft, a whole range of silicon. And we use it far beyond our place in the population, and yet we're not locked into access to work. 189 board members, 37 white women, 3 blacks, 1 Latino, for example. C-suites, administrators, even worse. Employment down around 2 or 3%. Investing in our own development for incubators and like almost zero. So we in fact plan to change that.
So we're concerned about the C-suite, the managerial aspects, the representation.
That's why we need to learn STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and all of that. And that's important. About 60 to 70% of jobs are not tech. They are advertising and marketing and servicing and construction and training. And so that's a dimension of it too. What we've done with we've got them, for example, to make public the EO1 reports. They're reluctant because they're embarrassing the bad. But beyond exposing how bad they are, what's the plan to close the gap?
Sure.
And Intel has stepped up with $300 million proposition, which involves some scholarship for youth between HBCUs, like colleges, interns, and Silicon Valley. They're looking for black engineers. They make them at A&T, and Howard, and Morgan State, and Hampton, and Morehouse, and Florida, and that's what they do. So that pipeline. Secondly, they plan by 2020 to have parity in employment relative to the population. That's 10 to 14%. And then the issue of investing. A lot of our youth have great ideas but cannot get the money for startup capital.
Right.
So part of the startup capital as well. A lot of our media, black media, can't get the share of advertising. And that's a big piece of our work.
You started this project, the Silicon Valley Project, back in March of last year. What was the genesis? I know we looked at the technology growth, but what was it about this industry that spoke to you and said we need to monitor and encourage?
We began about 15 years ago, and then we could not quite get traction, and then became very involved in President Obama's campaign, and kind of politically swept into that. But then we look back at where the job is. Here's the capital, where's the money, where's the job? The jobs come out of Silicon Valley, worldwide, and while they're being subsidized by the government because they do government business, they're not honoring federal employment standards. They're not honoring office contract compliance standards. And we have not put enough pressure on them. You can't, when the Apple comes out, we can't wait to buy Apple.
Right.
You know, when Microsoft comes up, we cannot wait to get the next product.
Sure.
And yet we've not leveraged our capital for economic justice. And part of our strength, you take a vote, you leverage it for access. You use $1 to leverage for access. There's nothing we cannot do in the industry. We must make demands, and the value, they must see that locking us out is expensive. What do we represent? Money, market, talent, location. So it's a good deal for everybody involved.
You attended a couple board meetings last year of these technology companies. What was the response from the CEOs at Microsoft, at Hewlett-Packard?
Well, they were nervous because there were shareholders meetings, and they had conspired to file a lawsuit to not expose the data. And so we bought shares of stock, when the shareholders, not sharecroppers, shareholders, said, Madam Chairman at HP, 25% plus my market is black and brown. but none of those persons on our board. Well, that's embarrassing with Bloomberg there and the Wall Street Journal. Why isn't it so? We went around and raised those questions, which they have to answer in the shareholders meeting. It was a tactical thing that we did, and it worked very well. But now they see the advantage. It's like they fought to lock Jack Robinson at the baseball. They locked him out. Who's behind Jack Robinson? Hank Aaron with the Mays, Don Luke and Campanella. So locking us out is an error, a very expensive error. Letting us in makes the pot bigger, and everybody can share and grow.
What do you say to African American youth and young adults and seniors? We are the #1 consumers of gaming. We're the #1 consumers of social media. Like you just mentioned, a new tablet comes out. iPhone has a new tablet. We go out and buy that. They have a new phone. We rush out and buy that. As consumers, from your perspective, what should African Americans be doing?
Leverage consumers into production and manufacturing. You buy, the only one black-owned salt drink distributorship in the country. There's more in the Coke and the Pepsi than the taste. You look at the new cars in the market. We're 20% of the market. $20,000 dealerships, we have like 240. There's more in the car than the ride. The same is true with high tech. There's more in the Apple. There's more in the Microsoft than just the joy of saying what's happening in texting and Instagram. And we must now use our strength because we matter to the marketplace. Use that strength to leverage for inclusion and growth. And that is the way we break out the cycle of poverty.
What's your, end game with the technology community? What do you want them to do and say?
Recognize our talent, our market, our money, our creativity, that we're net assets, not net losses, and that we should grow with the industry. And the industry is not going to stop growing anytime soon. We must grow with it and not be left behind. We cannot be in the exhaust pipe of the high-tech and biotech industries.
And the young people need to realize the importance of the STEM movement.
Both science, technology, engineering, and math. It's something we can do if we see it as a priority. There's nothing we cannot do if it's priority. And I say that the jobs of the future are very much locked into STEM. They're locked into using these machinery. And I say I use even in prison. You can use all the high-tech machinery. Sure. We can't just use it, we have to develop it. Apps and codes lend themselves to creativity. Just as the rapper industry and the hip-hop imagine itself to be, we can imagine a whole new industry just by the power of our imagination once we master the skill.
Can't let you go without talking about politics, and you have been on the forefront of politics and encouraging African Americans to step onto the plate, into the field of politics. What's your take on politics today?
Is that there'll be a tax hike on the wealthiest Americans, tax up the middle class, but what about the poor? 2 million Americans lost their homes, and the banks used subprime lending and predatory lending and ripped us off. They put the middle class into poverty. We bail out the banks, not linking lending or reinvestment or bailing out the homeowners who went down with it. So there must be some plan. Obviously, we need a White House conference on poverty.
Sure.
And racial disparity. The White House conference on poverty and racial disparity. Much the way Lyndon Johnson did it in his time. The White House conference on poverty is a weapon of mass destruction. Children who are born in poverty tend not to break the cycle. The black middle class is now on a netward down spiral. We must break the cycle of poverty. And so if we just give tax hike to those who don't relate to us, that's just a matter of maneuvering their books. Tax cut to those who don't live among us.
Sure.
That doesn't help those who live at the bottom.
As we close, what's your hope for America going forward?
That we will see the moral and the economic value in defending the poor and delivering the needy and setting the captive free. That schools cost less than jails, and it's always time to do the right thing. And we get from the poor people, our athletes, our soldiers, our soul. They must be part of economic growth and educational opportunity.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely brilliant. Take a couple pictures real quick.
Yes, sir.